Can I stop you real quick, because you're going to piss a lot of people off, but it's really, really good. This is extremely good feedback that I need to share with other people, because there's probably a lot of people like you that don't understand the power of WordPress. It's not just WordPress. It's like there's so much shit built on top of it and around it that you could do literally whatever you want. But your story that you're describing here is extremely interesting.
This is why the best web dev agencies in the world, they build on WordPress, because it gives them the flexibility, because they know what they're doing. I didn't know what I was doing, and this like shortcut of knowing design and having a visual first interface, I saw the candy that was there, and I'm like, I want to build that.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Fueled by Progress, hosted by me, Mark Szymanski. I got a special one for you today, and the reason it's special is because not too often, especially in the history of this podcast so far, because we haven't had too many episodes, but generally I get the chance to talk to people that, at least in the past recent history, that are older than me. They're wiser than me. They have more experience, and they're educating me on WordPress or something technical or business related, and I'm extremely grateful for those conversations. Not always, however, exceedingly rare, but starting to get a little bit more common, I suppose, do I get the chance to talk to somebody that is younger than me. And particularly it's because in the WordPress space, again, just a lot of them are older, and it's an older, more mature industry. But a couple days ago, an individual by the name of Andy Milligan slid into my LinkedIn DMs. And he basically was just like, hey, been following your stuff for a while. Really appreciate you. Really good outreach, just kind of like introducing himself, not asking for any weird shit, just like, being like, hey, happy to chat and, just exchange ideas, stuff like that. And I really appreciate that. So if you're out there listening and you ever want to chat, do not hesitate to hit me up. But, very sincere. And I could tell right away from the stuff that he had on his profile that he actually cares, and he is trying to better himself and improve his business and, just continue to do great things. So the interesting thing about Andy is he's 24 years old. And, I remember when I was 24 years old, damn, I sound like an old man. But I remember back then when I was like coming out of college and I just kind of like had a little job. I think at that time I was probably like just leaving my job, I guess, at that point. But I was like starting my own business and trying to do all these different things and had all these ideas. And Andy is, truthfully, as you'll hear from a lot of this conversation, even though we do talk about a lot of different things and hear his journey and everything, he is definitely further along than I was. I was not nearly, nowhere near as cognizant about money and trying to make money, so to speak. At his age, I was just much more focused on like trying different things and seeing if they would work. Now, again, I don't think that's a terrible idea either, but Andy has really dove in headfirst to a lot of different areas. The one is, as you'll hear, is like web design and development. He has an agency. He's scaling that. He publicly shows like the revenue tracking, everything like that on his YouTube channel, which is dope. And then also he is diving into the content side, which, I love to talk about. He is diving completely into that from the podcast space. And he's interviewed, I think he said like 120, 150 people, just like business leaders and different things like that. So, flexing those muscles of trying to be able to like, create soft skills, have those conversations, learn those types of things. It just, again, I sound like an old person. It brought me back, man, because I was kind of doing a similar thing when I had the Fueled by Progress podcast. I'm doing it in a different variety now, obviously, and just a lot of really good things that I see there. So again, not too many conversations do I get to have with people that are, individuals that are more like up and coming. I'm normally the student rather than the teacher. And in this episode, I kind of do a little bit of both, which is great because Andy still, for as young as Andy is, he has a great mindset and a head on his shoulders, like the way that he is processing a lot of things. And, in our two conversations we've had so far, he's given me great advice too. So it goes both ways, and I'm super excited for what Andy has in store as he continues his journey. So, in this episode, we cover a lot of things. Like I said, he's also an incredible golfer, which I am not, but, I go out there and swing them from time to time. We talk about that, but it all layers into his journey through his high school and college days, kind of his early entrepreneurial journey. And it's really just a great chat, a really good talk. And these are the types of conversations that I enjoy having because I don't just want to talk about straight up business or straight up technology all the time. I really like to get to the root of how did you, the guest, get to where you're at now? What is the backstory? Could you have, if you go back in a time machine and you look at yourself, could you have like predicted how you got here now because of, the type of person that you are or the way that you were brought up or what it is? And I think it gives a really holistic picture to, each person that I talk to, and as well as hopefully give you guys some value on, again, ultimately ends up mostly being the business side, but really just the life side too. It's a big passion of mine. So I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna give you that's the whole thing. That's the whole kit and caboodle that I have for Andy there. Super happy to have him as connection now. And yeah, so without further ado, Andy Milligan, enjoy. Andy, my man, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, man?
Very good, very good. So yeah, I got some notes written down here on kind of what I want to chat to you about, but I think we need to like kind of set the stage a little bit because we've talked once so far. I think we kind of hit it off a little bit in that first conversation, but like we got a lot of similarities. I mean, you're younger than me, so you got that on me. Lot of experience that hopefully I could potentially like maybe help you with, but also like you seem like you're well on your way with the agency and everything like that already. So that is absolutely sick to see. But for the people that don't know, you want to kind of just give like a little bit of a background off the rip.
Yeah, I'll give the short, long versions, I always say. But I'm Andy Milligan. I'm the founder of MMG Design here in Columbus, Ohio. We're a design-first website agency, so we do wireframes and websites, and we help small to medium-sized startups quickly explore a new design direction for their website. Sometimes that means they end up investing in us for development, and sometimes it doesn't. But it's kind of a unique concept, and I started like a lot of people doing traditional website projects, and this is something that we've talked about a little bit too, is trying to find a differentiator. I think we're always kind of trying to circle the plane and what that looks like for us. But yeah, that's how the company got started. I've been doing it for about 2 years. And the whole reason I got into this sort of marketing-esque niche is I'm not the best at telling my story because dots never one-to-one connect. But I went to college to play golf, and while I was there was the University of Findlay in Cleveland, Ohio. And while I was there, there's a student-led marketing agency called the Oiler 10, which if you guys don't know what an oiler is, it's basically like a big buff bearded dude who works on like railroad tracks. And that was our mascot. So we called ourselves the Oiler 10. But basically the students of the marketing program that were also athletes, we would meet at 5:30 in the mornings on Wednesdays, and there was 10 of us. And we would basically do outreach and volunteer like marketing-esque services work for local businesses in Findlay. Findlay is a pretty big city. But we would do it totally for free in exchange for donations to the university, because it was a way for us to get in contact with local businesses, and we couldn't go on internship trips on the weekends because we were traveling for sports. We're always in the stupid golf van. But that's like the first thing that actually even got me on that path, because I was literally in strength and conditioning, doing marketing, and that was the first thing that got me into that. So that was like one of these more of a straight right turn in terms of what the career path looked like. Other than that, it was just everything was golf, dude. So, which I get a feeling is a lot of your life right now too. So I think we have like our stories in reverse. So.
Definitely nowhere near as good as you are. Yeah, it's one of those bugs you just get. It's buddy. I know you're good. I've seen some of your shit. Like, and I am, I don't know, I'm only like 3 years into that. And I have like a really big respect for people that end up being good at golf, because like that is just such a mentally difficult thing to do, because you're out there all by yourself and it's just consistency, like doing the exact same thing almost over and over again. And I hit some good shots from time to time, but there's a lot of bad ones and a lot of bad decisions. I find myself in the trees quite often, but I don't know. It's a lifelong game. That's the only good thing. Like, I feel like I could do it forever. So
Yeah, well, a lot of people. Well, Mark, I got so much shit for playing golf in high school because it was like the
really?
nerd sport. It was like tennis. It's like, oh, you're gonna wear a sweater and you play badminton too, or whatever.
Yeah,
Nowadays, like all my friends from high school, they're all playing golf and they're watching Good,
yeah,
and that's all the group chat is.
yeah,
And like they're not rolling up after work and taking off their khakis and going out to play flag football or anything. Sometimes people do that,
yeah.
but it's definitely a lot more common to roll up on the course. And I think we both have a little bit of an advantage on them. We got it
Yeah,
ahead of time.
yeah.
So
The change is crazy though. The game of golf, the way that it is. I wasn't big into it before, like I said, but I feel like I got in just as it was starting to blow up, maybe a little bit early, because now it seems like everybody and their mom like makes like golf content or just golfs, like just golf. You know what I mean? Like just goes out there. It's in Pittsburgh here. It's like we got a ton of courses and it is hard to
yeah.
get on. It's like the weekend warriors are strong. So,
Dude,
but
it's such a, I think we talked about it last. It's such a rich man's game now too. Like I
yeah,
remember I was lucky to get into it when I was really young. So I was always playing on, like we were always traveling like out of state for tournaments. And even back then, the amount that their parents would invest in kids, like buying them everything, like course rates, custom clubs before they'd like hit puberty, so that they would buy like a $1,200 pair of clubs, and then they'd hit puberty and they wouldn't fit them anymore, and then they would pay another $2,000 the next year. Definitely didn't happen to me, but it did.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's a rich man's game, but we call them goat ranches if you can get on like a 9-hole course for like $20 and walk. There's one that I grew up on where the quality is very low, but we don't care about it's like 12 months a year the greens are aerated, and we love it. We just go out there and hack.
I feel you. Did you just to close the loop on the golf thing, because I know it's a big part of your life and it's a big part of it's becoming a slightly larger part of mine because I'm just addicted now. But like you went to college for golf, like so
Yeah.
was your plan to continue like at all, like I don't know, Corn Ferry or whatever, like whatever the trajectory is, or was it just like how does that? I didn't play any sports in college. I was never at that level of anything necessarily. So like, what was that like?
Yeah, so I didn't start playing golf until I was in like middle school to high school. So I started very late. Nowadays, you go to all these D1s, even all the way up to D3, they have a lot of their classes picked out for like, these kids are like 8 or 9 years old and they're already committed to schools. So back then, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. It was like 5 or 6 years ago. That back then we had a little bit more leeway. But I just got enamored with it in high school, dude. It was all I was doing. I was big into baseball before that, and I kind of had a natural swing. I picked it up really fast. Dad got me a bunch of lessons, and I eventually got to scratch within 4 years of playing. But it's not like casual playing. Like I was getting lessons, like investing a lot of money and time into the sport, would play every single day. In the summers, I worked at courses. So I worked at 2 pretty prestigious golf courses in Ohio, Dayton Country Club up near Oakwood, and Urbana Country Club, which is really close to my hometown. It's a PBI course, very well known. Basically, I was spending 12 to 13 hours a day on a golf course between working and picking the range. I would hop out there for a little bit, and that was my entire high school career. So by then, like that was all I was doing. And it comes time to pick a college. It's like, well, golf is pretty much the only common denominator here because that's like my whole personality. So I didn't know what I wanted to do job wise. Like my only other jobs were like trade jobs, working in fields, concession stands, mowing grass, stuff like that. And I had never really had an entrepreneurial itch. I did a little bit of freelancing stuff, but I never identified as an entrepreneur. But the way it got into, there's this thing called the PGM program. It's called Professional Golf Management. So basically only 18 schools in the country at the time had it when I was getting into it. And one of them was Methodist University in North Carolina. I was like, okay, I would like to move away from school, or like to move away from home after I graduate. And I had a really good opportunity to go there in their PGM program, which they paired with a business degree. So I was like, okay, go there, go for a professional golf management. the worst major ever because outside of being just a head golf pro, holds absolutely no value. It's basically like a psychology degree, and hopefully then make people mad that are listening. But there's no like tangible value, and I think like psychology, that is actually very important, especially for like what we do. But if you're looking to get a job like afterwards, which I was at the time, not holding a lot of like tangible market value. So I went there. I went to Methodist University for 1 year, and the second semester, it's one of the best golf teams in the country. And I didn't make the team second semester because all these people were, positive handicaps, shooting under par. And it hurt my relationship with the sport a lot. So I transferred back home and went to Finland, which is pretty close to my hometown, and finished up the rest of college there.
Gotcha. Okay.
But,
So then you finished college. Did you change majors when you got back to Finley? Or what's the story there?
Yeah.
Okay, so what did you end up with?
Strength and conditioning and marketing. So I continued my marketing degree that I like paired up at PGM back at North Carolina, and then made that graduated with a double major in strength and conditioning and marketing.
Okay. See, this is what's interesting because you're 24.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like you are, like the experiences that you've had have been mostly like, educational in nature or like coupled with education, like because of those years of our lives where we have to go through the schooling, but then like you're doing so many other things that are kind of like formative in those years, but you don't really like know it. And I just talked to our mutual friend Chris, and like he's like ahead of me and ahead of you, so it's like it's kind of interesting to kind of see like how all these things end up when, if we had this conversation in 5 years from now, how much more emphasis you would put on like the last 5 years, obviously, rather than these years. But I just say all that to say that like, so you go through that and then you come back and like your next thought, if you could go back to the day that you transferred back to Finley, your thought was, okay, I don't have that major anymore. So like that puts you in the fact of like your kind of your backup plan or your next plan was, did you think you were going to like become strength and conditioning? Did you think you were going to become like a personal trainer or something like that? Or what was the mindset with the next move there?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I haven't thought back through a lot of this stuff in a long time, so it's really cool that you're asking it. And I'm not someone that gets interviewed a lot. I interview a lot of other people for my podcast, so thank you for asking that. But it's when I was doing that, I actually went through a really bad eating disorder when I was in, and I'm open talking about it. It's a big part of my life, but sort of like through the end of high school and into my first year of college, still playing golf, I had a really bad like eating disorder, like exercise addiction, and I ended up losing like 40 to 50 pounds in a relatively short period of time. And my like path out of that was I really got into working out. It's kind of why it started. And I saw the ability to improve myself through that. And I got, as I tell this, I'm realizing that I invest a lot of myself into like a current phase of life. I don't know if that's like shiny object syndrome at its extreme, but if I'm spending a lot of time on something, I was spending a lot of time working out at that time. I was like, okay, I'm going to be a personal trainer. I told you with the childhood with golf, I was always on the golf course talking to golf people and professionals, and I wanted to be a golf pro. So I think it shows my commitment level for what my biggest focus is. And I think even recognizing that now is probably not the best thing, but I am a firm believer that I kind of have an addictive personality and I take things to the extreme sometimes. But yeah, I went into strength and conditioning after the Methodist chapter. And by the way, my golf performance was a lot worse after the whole eating disorder thing. I lost a ton of strength. I used to be able to drive the ball 320 yards, 120 mile per hour club head speed in high school as a senior. I was big. I was 6'5". I was over 200 pounds, really strong. And after that, I lost a lot of my skill and strength and touch, and obviously running 6 to 7 miles a day and doing swimming and lifting and just over and over repetitively took a lot of that out of me. And yeah, and that's what I thought the chapter was going to be, is I wanted to be a personal trainer. And I did it at an internship up in Cleveland for a little bit. I did an internship back home for a summer here at Springfield, which is pretty close to my childhood home. And I did enjoy it, and I learned a lot. It's what taught me a lot of like my social skills, because I grew up a pretty socially awkward person. I talked about it last time, but I have double hearing loss. I wear 2 hearing aids. And I was a very isolated like child figure. And like these now, it's like really cool because it's like a quirk of myself. And growing up, it was a big source of insecurity. Like the technology has evolved a lot to where you can barely even notice them now. But in my formative years, they were these big tie-dye colored like machines my teachers would have to wear. Like they called them FM systems. So they'd have to wear this thing around their neck. I'd have to go up to them before class, give it to them. And every couple of minutes they would like tap on it. And this is like in front of the whole class. So I think part of like my addictive personality is my feeling that I have to be a little bit more superior to other people that are in my peer group, because I feel like I started at a disadvantage somehow, which isn't true. But yeah, I do throw a lot. I did want to be a personal trainer back at Fenway.
Damn. I didn't know most of that, man. That's fucking crazy. There was a thing, you say all that. I was doing a little bit of research, scrolling back on the Instagram. There was a period in time where were you trying to be or were you building like a golf, like training business as well? Like instructional business?
Yeah. So
where's that in the timeline?
Dude, I haven't been on Instagram in so long. That's why I cringed when you said that. But yeah, no, I used to be big into making video content on like Instagram to market my personal training and golf side. So I kind of found a niche when I moved back into, I haven't talked about this in so long. When I moved back right after Methodist, I was still golfing a lot. And that was one of the first things that people noticed. And this was true like all through high school. But I got a lot of positive affirmation out of, I'll just say, like being better at golf than most people. So when I was at the gym working as a personal trainer, a lot of people would say, "Hey, we've seen your golf content on Instagram, online. We do golf lessons." And so I was kind of able to, this was my first little divulsion into entrepreneurship, was I would kind of toss between personal training and golf. Springfield's a big city. There's a lot of people that played golf at the gyms called Springfield Health and Fitness that I was a trainer at. And a lot of people, I posted flyers in there. My boss, the owner of the gym, was super awesome. Like she was, Alexis Foreman is her name. She invested a ton into me. It's like, yeah, you can put your golf flyers up in here. And I would actually host, I would go to driving ranges on the weekends of tournaments in Springfield. And I would say like, okay, you want to drive the ball further? And I had like this mobility test that I would give people on site to be able to drive the ball further. And it's a really nice like attribution point, because when I was at Fenway, I did a remote internship. This is a different chapter, but I interned for a golf fitness company in North Carolina. So like over Christmas break, I booked out an Airbnb, traveled back to North Carolina, and I did an internship in marketing with a golf fitness company called P4S Golf. And they're actually a really big company now. But at the time, it was a 60-person company with one marketing staff, and dude's name was Mike, doing everything. And they had, looking back on, I wasn't as self-aware in just my knowledge of marketing and like how this stuff works back then, because I was a freshman or a sophomore in college, which wasn't that long ago, but feels like a long time ago. And they had this lead magnet and this marketing system that just cranked. So they would do a mobility test that took like 30 seconds, and that was their lead magnet. So identify the hook, and they repurpose it so many different ways, is identify your mobility in like and super quickly, like 3 different tests, and then you can see how you can hit your drives further. So you're really playing on that pain point of like old guys who can't move and they want to hit the ball further, like they're playing with their sons or other dudes and they can't drive the ball further. It's like, okay, basically download this 30-second mobility test and you'll be able to outdrive your friends. So it's basically how we packaged it. And that's a lot of how I learned web dev there. I redid their logo. It's still on their website. It's called P4S Golf in Morrisville, North Carolina. And I spent Christmas in North Carolina in an Airbnb down there because I was interning for them. And they actually hired me after I got back to work remotely and work with Mike on their marketing up until graduation of that year of college. And I thought I was going to work there, but that's how golf and fitness went back and forth. Is like when I was back in back home in Springfield, I would really toss back and forth between like, okay, because it was the same hourly rate for me. It would just be $40 an hour. We can go to the range, and then you pay for range balls. And I would work in like, you want to book this number of sessions, you can get a golf session for free. And it was a really good sort of dual value prop, and I could kind of exchange both ways. So yeah, that was fun. And I would post about it too, which is I should go back and delete some of those probably, because it's not what I do now. But it's cool that you saw that.
Hey, real quick, hope you're enjoying the video. I hate to interrupt, but I have to tell you about our sponsor, NitroPack. If you've been holding off on trying NitroPack, now is the absolute perfect time. They just launched brand new pricing starting at only $7 a month, so their powerful performance optimization is even more accessible than ever. Whether you're running a blog, a growing e-commerce store, or managing multiple sites, NitroPack has a plan for you. And it's not just about price. They've added 7 new optimization features to help your site load lightning fast and pass core web vitals with ease. We're talking things like LCP preload to boost your largest contentful paint score, lazy loading for self-hosted videos, and even animated image optimization so your GIFs won't slow your site down. With NitroPack, you get speed without complexity, no dev team required. Check out the new plans to see how easy it is to turn your slow site into a fast one. And the best part of it all, you can test drive NitroPack for free today via the WordPress plugin repository. And when you're ready to upgrade, just use code MJS at checkout to get yourself 10% off. Now, let's get back to the video. It might sound like what we're talking about here is not related to what you're doing now, which we will get to. But I think that, you know, my thought as you're talking here, and as I mentioned a little earlier, with you being so young, I mean, again, it's relative, but you know, like being so young, like it's like really interesting to get the formative trajectory and kind of like fully understand how that is, how it's come to be, because you can start to see a little bit of the shades of how you started to get in entrepreneurship, right? Like you were effectively, to some degree, maybe not running your own business as a personal trainer, but like you're running your own business as a golf trainer, golf teacher, and stuff like that. Like it kind of like it slowly forms over time, and you don't really know necessarily maybe at the time where you're headed. None of us really ever know where we're headed, but you're just doing things that you're enjoying, and some of those efforts are making you money too. So it's like not everyone's like that, and when you can look back a couple years, for somebody like where you're at and see all of that, I think it's just like an interesting story, because like you can't really explain exactly where you're at now without, a lot of that context from the past there. So I think that's, I don't know. I appreciate you sharing all that. And to the point specifically that you made about going back and deleting all that stuff, I'll tell you a quick story. I hid so many videos from my YouTube channel that I had made about when I remodeled a bunch of shit in my house, and made other videos I made about just like other stuff when I was like driving to a job I hated in my car. I would film a bunch of that shit, and like I just hid it all for a very long time when I started making WordPress content. But my channel is my name. Like, I don't want to hide that. That's part of my story. That's part of my journey. Yeah, I mean, maybe if you're following me for WordPress shit right now, you don't get any value out of that. But that's how I'm always going to be, like on my personal accounts. If I build a business, then obviously that'll be specific. I mean, if I have businesses, but like if you build a specific brand around a business and content around a business, then that's a little different. But I don't know, different schools of thought on that. But if you were asking,
I want to, not to cut you off, dude. I want to give you props, because and I told you this last time, but one of the reasons you're able to get like go really deep with people pretty fast is because like I came into the conversation like I feeling like I already knew you. Like I knew you're playing golf, I knew you're trying this Whole Foods diet, I know you're going to conferences, that you have this WordPress content, that like even like small abstract just through your daily videos. That ability, that like that everything you put out is a filter, right? And attracts the right people based on what the common interests are. And when you do that, there's positives and negatives to it. Like for example, a Fortune 500 company, and then this is not your goal, but like a Fortune 500 company is looking for a WordPress consultant. They're probably not going to hire you because you look a little bit unprofessional. But to anyone below that or between the level that could be a beneficial relationship for you, when you meet them for the first time, you're giving them all these areas to grab on and start a conversation. You know, not just start a conversation, but start a relationship. Like when I watch your like daily shorts, there's like 10 different things that I can point out. You're talking about creatine, you're talking about like how you just got back from, WordCamp. That's really top of mind. But it's just really easy, and you mix that with being very not like articulate in how you speak, but direct. So you say it with perceived confidence. You don't stutter over your words a lot, which I think a lot of people do when they're on camera and they're making a lot of videos. It creates a positive impression, dude. And I wish I had done that earlier. And I wish I was also, I wish I had the presence that you do when you come across on camera. Cause it's like I told you that last time, but I think it's a really big gift that you should double down on.
Well, very appreciative of you saying that, brother. The one thing I would say is that you have 5 years like on me. So like, it's like you have 5 years if you wanted to do that, it's absolutely not, it's not a matter of being late to that by any means. And I'm going to spin that and give myself and potentially people, approaching their 30s, like the same thought, or anybody really, is like anytime you think like you're behind, like you could just look at people like 5 years ahead. And like, that's the thing I'm doing recently now is, I feel like from a like a financial sustainability perspective, I am not where I'd like to be. But then I think about, it's like, I know a lot of people in their late 30s, early 40s, and I feel like they're doing great, but it's like, how were they're doing great then, but how were they doing when they were approaching their 30s? I feel like so much of our late or early 20s into like our mid 20s and even close to late 20s is like learning and trying to figure a lot of things out and doing a bunch of different things. And I feel like, I mean, that's a thing. Like 20s are learning, 30s are earning, something like that. I don't know what the rest of it is, but yeah. So I mean, it's never a bad time to make money, but that's a big part of it. I think is you got to go through the phases.
Dude, I hear like, and like we've only talked twice, but I hear, and even I feel like we talk more often because I watch. It's the first thing that pops up.
It's the effect I have on people. No,
I know. It's like it's because it's the first thing that pops up on my YouTube shorts, and I pull up YouTube right before I go to bed. Not like for bad. Okay. Not, but
clip it.
You can cut that out. But I feel like I talk to you every day because you're so like conversational. Like I said, so like I can see the things that you talk about a lot in those are probably occupying a lot of your thoughts throughout the day. I don't know about you, but I personally spend a lot of time alone working. And like I have 2 dedicated days a week where I will travel and go to Columbus because Mark, like there were days, and when I first started this part of the business after the agency layoff, in February of 24, that was a pretty stark contrast on like what my day looked like. And I find on the days that I just get out and like have a conversation, it's a big reason why I started the podcast too, to be honest, other than like lead gen activities. That's just when I'm the happiest. I can tell like, so in your shorts, the things that you talk about a lot, I feel like you occupy a lot of your headspace. And when you're able to have like this objective vision of like, okay, this is this person. I don't know if you watch the videos back, you edit them, you think, okay, this is this person that's talking about this thing a lot. What would I tell him if I were, consulting or giving advice to him? And since I started recording like a little brief, or it's like a journaling habit, you know?
Mm.
It helps you be more self-aware, especially if you're someone, and I'm not saying that either of us are lonely or anything, but when you spend a lot of time solo working, it's almost like, and we also don't have anyone telling us to, like, what to do during the day, you know? If you don't have like self-confidence to an extent, I don't know if self-confidence is the right word, but if you don't trust your instincts, you have to remind yourself and try and be as objective as possible, because we're not perfect. And I think a habit of, whether it's journaling or just recording a short every day, just talking about like what you're thinking about, what you did during the day, it's an objective reality of like, okay, this is what this person is thinking and this is what this person is going through. And if you're talking about something a lot, then, as I've seen, like the topics that I bring up a lot when I do this practice, this is probably something that's occupying a lot of my mind space. Maybe I should invest more time into that. So yeah, that's a piece of feedback.
Again, yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. I think that is a lot of that resonates with me, specifically the lonely part. I feel like that's maybe a piece of the reason that I started the shorts to a degree. I mean, well, I got to give credit where credit is due. I saw Yoni Smalar, YoniMan.mp4, and a buddy of mine named Sean sent me like a bunch of his videos, said, hey, you could do this, you know, you could do a video every day. And I was like, and then I ended up doing it. And it's been great. I do think it's been really therapeutic in a lot of ways. Some days, you know, I let it go until like 11 and I don't necessarily want to do it, but I want to do it. I'm just not in the, you know, it's just late. But I've never really had a blog. I've never really had a journal. And I think that I'm naturally prone to want to do that, though. It's just I never had a good medium to do it because I don't really want to write the stuff. And I do want it to be public, because if I'm talking about it, there's very few things in my life that I keep actually like really private. I feel like there's a lot of value to be shared. And, you know, those daily shorts, they're definitely a net positive. Are they a net positive from the viewership or from like any sort of monetization perspective right now? Not really. But they definitely are slowly trending me, I think, in the right direction, because the people that know me, kind of like, you know, like you're kind of explaining here, they know me better, and I'm developing that parasocial relationship with them. Like they're kind of like they know me really well, and then I can get to know them really well if I need to, or, you know, if they post content or whatever. But then also I think it is starting to permutate, if that's the right way to describe that, like out into the ether a little bit more. Like specifically, like I'll see like random, you know, more likes on like TikTok and random other shit or whatever. But, you know, it's such a marketing game. You know, that's the next thing, is like, okay, we have the volume and we have some value. How do we actually attract some sort of virality? And I didn't get a chance to watch your episode that you just dropped. Was it today or yesterday? But wasn't that the sub headline, like virality? I think it was virality as a distraction, but I don't know if the content of that resonates here or like relates to what we're talking about. But
dude, like, I want to give you like credit where credit is due, and it's like replaying our last conversation. Is we see other people, and it's such a comparison game. Like, it's so wild. And can we just say, how wild is it that we are like on other side? We actually happen to be geographically pretty close.
Yeah.
Like, Pittsburgh's like 4 hours away from me. But can you imagine like how incredible is it to live in an age where you can post a video like that online and build like a pretty genuine relationship with someone that quickly? Say if I lived in Iceland or Australia, or if I was a billionaire, that would be like a really key connection that could literally change your life. So
yeah,
that's just the power of that. And when you're thinking about that, when it's 11 o'clock at night and you don't want to record the video, like, it's hard to remind yourself of just the impact that something like that can have, because it's just so wild, man. I don't think we'll ever be able to understand like the scale that the internet operates on, or just the videos, or just something stupid and small like that. It honestly is crazy, man. It's really crazy.
It definitely has a huge opportunity. you know, you just got to stick with it long enough, I feel like, for something magical to happen. And then if it doesn't, then at least you have a big body of work that you can say you were proud of. That's pretty much what keeps me going at this point. Because I've definitely had some success, but like I, you know, just continuously want kind of more, especially as I move into latter phases of my life. So
something this is what I wanted to ask you is
yeah.
I look at Mark, you have this obsession with documenting your life. What form did that take, like in your childhood? If you could be more self-aware on that, because
yeah,
I see you doing a lot through video. And again, I think that's what leads to your unique presence and skill and like articulating thoughts on camera or just articulating thoughts in general. I don't know if the camera part plays a role in that. It definitely makes it harder for me at least. Mm-hmm. But was there a time like when you were younger where you saw that side of yourself, like maybe in journaling or just in telling stories? How did you see like that before, you know, the videos and the daily uploads and even posting on YouTube in general?
I appreciate you asking this question. It's a tough one for me because I'm going to answer it, but I'm going to give you some context first because I normally do that. Every time that I hear somebody doing like really well, we might have even talked about this. Every time that I hear somebody doing really well now, they always have some sort of crazy story that they were like living under a fucking bridge like 5 years ago or something like that. And now they're, you know, making $400,000 a month or something like that, right? So it's like, I'm like, I never lived under a bridge. You know what I mean? Like I always had, you know, like a very stable childhood, adolescence, like nothing really crazy happened. Like I just felt like I was always so blessed. And I never had that situation where like I needed to like pull myself up by my bootstraps and then whatever. I wasn't rich, but like, you know, I was very comfortable. And I think that's a blessing and a curse. But the reason I say that is because I wonder where the documentation comes from in all of that. And I think maybe some of the signals are that I really do enjoy like making people laugh, not in like a fully comedic sense, but I've always liked that part of it. I feel like I was never really big into like theater or some shit from the camera angle. But I wasn't like, I remember I was like in one school play, I was like in the Wizard of Oz and I was like the coroner, right? So it's like a moderately funny, part to be like where you're like doing a weird voice and shit. So it's like that. And I don't know, just always laughing with my friends and even like my family and everything. So I feel like that plays a role into it because I like to be entertaining. I don't like to be incredibly like stoic and professional all the time, but I do like to deliver a message that has some level of value and meaning. I think, you see some of the WordCamp content that I put out, that obviously resonates all in there. I do think another reason, as I try to rack my brain for all these examples, I do think another reason is I commuted to college here at Pitt. So I was 10 minutes away from the place that I went. I did not stay there. I did not make like pretty much any friends. I knew some people that went there, but I did not make like any friends, and I've never drank alcohol. I've never smoked. I've never done any of that shit. So it's like, I am so far removed from everything that I would say like the typical person kind of goes through, that like now when I go to an event or whatever, it's like I didn't have a lot of that. So it's like I definitely want to, make connections, but also again, like kind of be like, I don't know, just a little bit, not like the life of the fucking party, but like I want to be a little bit more of that, so to speak. Like there's a little bit of that in there. And then I don't know how this all relates to the documentation piece, but I'm honestly probably like a little bit, I'm probably a little bit like self-centered, egotistical in that realm, but I do it in a way where it's like, I know there's value in the stuff that I'm talking about. It's just like, I don't know of a better way to deliver that value other than just telling you about like my experience. I think Chris and I actually just talked about this. You can either deliver experience or you can deliver advice. And it's like he put it great. It's like I'm fully the experience way. I don't want to give people shitty advice that I just made up. I try to not do that. So every piece of advice or recommendation I have, I try to bring it from the stuff that I've actually experienced and stuff that I've went through. And I think that's a really big part of it.
Okay, so like 2 or 3 things branching off of what you said. The part of like losing memories, I think as we get older, that feeling becomes exorbitantly more pressing. And that you've talked about the point in college where you lived off campus, so you kind of had like maybe this post FOMO. Maybe you didn't feel it in the minute, but you have like this post memory FOMO, right? Where you're like, okay, maybe this stuff was going on out there and I don't have these memories now because I wasn't associated with it. Not even that I didn't document, I wasn't even there, you know? I think there's a little bit of crossover there. When I talk about like the chapter at college, I lived on campus through both universities. I had an eating disorder. I was so self-isolated. Even to this day, to an extent, I am so careful about who I spend physical proximity and time with. I am very careful about who, especially back then, you have like kind of extreme habits, like I talked about. You isolate yourself a lot. And can you imagine, like, I was cooking, eating all my food, like by myself, like weighing food, doing stuff, doing all my own workouts, always by myself. And that, like, fear, I have that looking back now, is like, why did I do that? Like, I missed out on so much of like the college experience, like growing up, because I thought I was doing the best thing for myself. I thought I was being disciplined. Like I thought I was doing the right thing. And like that like that memory FOMO, like you never had it to begin with. But you wish you did, you know? I think a lot of that is kind of manifesting itself in my life now. And that's what I hear in you too, is like you had the things that you wish you had. And now that you have like all this, we have this life ahead of us. We want to really make sure like we capitalize on that, you know, and make sure that we're making the most, like squeezing the lemon out of what that looks like. I think documenting is the way to do that, because it's so hard to like, it's almost like you get to enjoy it twice. Do you ever have periods where you actually consume stuff from your past, like look through your past videos and think like, kind of like that practice of what is this person thinking and how can I better align myself? Are you conscious about doing that?
I definitely do that from time to time. I mean, I'm an Android guy, as you know, which, we're still working on getting you out of the walled garden. But I use Google Photos, and, it goes back to like, I want to say like 2015 or something. I don't know, like a long time. So like that, I live and die by that, because there's just so much that you can glean from it all. Not only is it all documented, but again, like, it'll come up with random highlights and shit or whatever. And like, whether it's time with I've been with my wife coming up on 9 years. We've been married for like, 2, but like, but coming up on 9 years. So like, there's so much shit that I forget that we did, you know what I mean? There's so much stuff that I forget from, again, like my college or high school days with friends and stuff that I, have there. So there's all that. And then also just all the personal shit that I've recorded, and just, when I was like, I think I came across videos recently from when I was like driving to work, like I said, that I didn't post. I've recorded so much stuff that I didn't post. Like I've posted a ton, but then it's like, there's all this other stuff that isn't. And I've just gotten to the point now where like, I just want to almost post everything. Not because I think my life is like more important than anybody's, or my thoughts are incredibly more important than anybody's, but it's just like, if there are going to be consumers out there that need guidance, like I was in this position, I didn't know if I could like post stuff or whatever. And then the one additional answer to your question that I know is a huge part of it is I was watching when I was like coming up, like whenever I was in, college or whatever, I was watching Gary Vaynerchuk, who was literally just fucking had a cameraman just follow him around everywhere and just like film that whole thing. I was like, that's pretty cool. That seems fun. So that was an influence on me. And then also, I don't know if you ever got into the realm of like fitness content with like Max Tuning, Christian Guzman, like huge influence on me. Like, I wear Ever Forward clothes still from Max Tuning. I want to have him on the podcast. Like, he's been so successful in such a short amount of time with that Sour Strips company that he just sold. So like, anyway, but he, again, was like I don't know how I found that. I was just like random fitness era of my life. And then this, cool dude that, is doing interesting stuff. And I've just followed him for such a long time in the same way. And all he does is like vlog and build business. You know what I mean? Like it's like business over here, whatever, and document his life over here. And so I think that was a big thing. It's just those influences on me.
Is that what maybe, not to cut you off, sorry. If I cut you off, it means I'm interested.
You good.
Is that what like a perfect day looks like for you? I know it's such a tired question to ask because it's like any day can be perfect. But like, would you, and this is just me like from the outside, would that be a perfect day is like doing whatever the fuck you want to, the hell you want to do, and then just like having someone and just telling that story, and just so that you can perpetually follow these interests of yours? That's kind of like a good day?
It's funny because I'm a psycho, and I actually years ago, I still have the document in my Google Drive. It's called Ideal Day, like my ideal day, and it has timestamps like of like wake up, do this, do this, do this, do this. And it's like, there's, I can't remember exactly, but there's like exercise on there. There's play ball hockey. There's like film, like YouTube shit or whatever. Like it's just, it's just like it's all on there or whatever it is. And yes, if I genuinely am such a psycho that if I just did whatever I wanted and had somebody film me, like a videographer all day, that's probably pretty close to what my day would be like. Because again, I don't know, I'm still struggling to articulate it just in general, but just like how much value could be in those things if they were presented not just like, in like a 24-hour continuous stream of a video. You know what I mean? Like that's hard to consume. But I do think that's where I'm at.
A piece of feedback. Yeah. You say a lot value this emotion that you have that and I believe it's true, by the way, so this isn't confrontational. And I want you to like lean into it more for your personal sense. It's just a piece of feedback. Yeah. You said a couple of times that you find like inherent value in your experiences in life. That feeling, a lot of people don't feel that. Especially myself, I feel like I'm bugging people sometimes by sharing anything at all, which is just ridiculous because people want to listen, they'll listen. People want to get in touch, they'll get in touch. But you're not giving them that opportunity unless you have the conviction to not put yourself out there, but just create the filter that could then lead to the next step. Where do you think that conviction comes from you that, you're like the stuff that you're learning is valuable? Because it's helped me. Like personally, it has helped me, and I think it helps the right people. And I want to talk to you a little bit too about like your network and how what you've put out there has drawn in the right people. Because that's my default is I will sit in Figma all day and work, right?
Yeah.
I am a technician, and the first 2 years of owning MMG, owning the business, have taught me that I cannot do that, or I will not make money. And I over-index so hard on the other side of that. I'm like, I have to be professional. I have to be forward-facing. And from a business standpoint, the putting myself out there has helped a little bit. And it's something that I see a lot in you. But where do you think that conviction comes from that there's a lot of value in what you do, and documenting it helps?
Good questions. You have fully turned the tables on me on this, but I appreciate this. What I want to do with this answer is I want to answer it, but I also want to give you some thoughts because you're asking this in a way that's like, you gave me some really good ammo there to kind of like give you some really thoughts that I hope that could, be beneficial for you and a lot of people possibly listening to, because everybody's in the same position. The conviction comes from, truthfully, at a certain point that I don't have a full grasp of this dial of not giving a fuck, but like I'm getting closer to just being able to turn it on whenever I want. And I say it so bluntly because you have to you have to do that at a certain point. Like you have to just literally not care what people think of you so much that you are crazy enough to post a short about whatever the fuck you want every single day. And that has been, I think the last 100 days have really been transformative, because I was posting content before that. But like this, the fact that I know I am posting something every single day, I do not care if people watch it or not. And I'm always trying to just get better. And over time, I will optimize it for whatever whatever I need to. But like until you go to the gym 100 days in a row, I'm not saying necessarily do that, but you know what I mean? Until you go to the gym like 3 months in a row on some sort of cadence, like you don't even know what's going on. Like you haven't even been in the game. Like you have no idea how to optimize anything. I was so analysis paralyzed because I was trying to like over optimize all this stuff for so long. And once I realized that I just need to shut the fuck up and just get out of my own way and just do some stuff and post or do whatever it is, just doing stuff makes me feel better. And I'm so, I think we mentioned it off camera. I used to have a brand, still have it, but it's in a hiatus, brand in a podcast called Fueled by Progress. I am so upset that that name is not in use right now, but one day it will be, because that is me. Like if I sit here and I think about all the things that I have to do, I will get nothing done. Like I will just like, I'll start this or whatever. And then I'm like, oh no, I got to do this for this person. Like it's a nightmare. So just doing, I know that we all have a lot of things to do, but just doing, so you're fueled by the act of doing, or you're fueled by progress, like that is just another one of my mantras that I can never let go of, because I need to remember it, because it resonates and it's so true to me. So those are the really big things. I want to go back, because I have to though, about the thing that you said with MMG. You are a technician right now, because everyone pretty much starts as a technician in this industry, because everybody has like a skill, whether it's the design, the development, or whatever. Mine was kind of like more the development. I was never like a designer, so to speak, but I just like knew how to build websites. My skill is like dynamic data architecture, I think is my big one that I've developed over time. And you're a technician right now, but you're also 24. So like I wouldn't worry that you're still the technician. That said, you are right in the sense where it's like it's hard to scale when you're doing all of the work. So but it sounds like you're already doing the right things from the stuff we talked about, where you have contractors and you're moving in that direction. That said though, if you really do actually enjoy being the technician, like maybe don't fully leave go of that ever. I don't know. I mean, but it's all a journey, and it's just the unfortunate part is, I'm speaking from experience here. Like my last 5 years, your next 5 years, or hopefully less, it's difficult because you don't know where to go, and you just feel like you're, I don't know, spinning because you're not becoming like a full-fledged founder or something like that, or whatever's happening there. It's like you do. I think there is a number of reps that you have to take before you get to the level of like, oh, I'm fully out of the business and I'm fully sales guy, or whatever. I don't have to do any of the fulfillment. But it sounds like you're selling yourself short there, because I feel like you're already moving that direction. You're pretty much on your way.
I don't think I know. Identity lags behind reality a certain gap amount of time. So for example, I still speak, and I see this in the energy I bring to the desk, the energy I bring to conversations, and the energy I bring to how I think about myself. A lot of the anxieties I have around finances, around my insecurities growing up, I still act on a lot of those. I still wake up a lot of mornings with the mindset of that kid that was crying in his car after the layoff. Like I need to, like, I think that, and that affects like how we talk about ourselves. It affects how we brand ourselves. And I think this habit of saying stuff out loud and getting objective feedback makes you realize a lot of that is not true. And you can kind of say, okay, that's just not you. The things that you're thinking and saying aren't correlating with the actions or what is objective reality. Yeah, dude, like that's 100%. Is like the feedback we get from other people is a lot of times. Obviously, be careful about who you're taking feedback from, because something that Chris taught me is feedback without context from the wrong person at the wrong time can be deadly. So you have to trust yourself a little bit. But there's so much fish and water that goes on in our own businesses and our own careers and our own lives that having conversations and getting to the bottom of a lot of your head trash is sometimes the only way out sometimes. So yeah, man, that speaks to me really hard, because if I look objectively at the business, I have scaled pretty fast for it being my first business and my first, full year as a self-employed person. And I still have I get scared of how much I don't know sometimes. It's been so much of what has accelerated me to even be able to be doing this full time and not scraping for a job is just asking other people and not being afraid to act on it. And I've gotten really lucky to get in touch with people that know a lot more than I do and go deep with people pretty quickly. And I think that's something I said about you. It's one of your biggest strengths. Yeah. One of these days we have this network. You have this network in particular. You started really young, and this ability you have to go deep with people and put yourself out there is going to attract the right people. I see so much like up and to the right for you, not just because of your soft skills, but your ability to like take action, and you're just rigorous on self-improvement. And no matter, it may feel like you're like a golden retriever, like balancing all these things, and you get overwhelmed by like what to double click and dive down on. Just, do you have any idea how unusual it is to just be that motivated by multiple different things? A lot of people can't even get out of bed in the morning and find one thing. That a lot of people literally wake up in the mornings, dread going to work, and don't even feel like they have the capability to make a change in their own lives. Like, this is just like accepted reality. I'm not saying it's anything that's proprietary to people who own a job or people who are employed. There's a lot of people to where that is life for them, man. So I would take the fact that you are excited about anything, and much less multiple things, and not be stressed out about which one to choose or worry about the switching costs of, investing too much in one thing, and just say, if I'm energized and I'm passionate by this thing and it's driving me forward and obviously it's productive, then lean into it, man. More and more, no matter what it is.
Yeah. Again, dude, I appreciate it. A couple things there. One, I would say directly back at you. Again, I'm going to say for the fifth time or whatever I've said that you're, even younger than I am, and you are doing a lot of the same things, and your network is growing probably faster than I am, and you probably having definitely more monetary success at that age than I was. So you are directly up there to the right as well. I do want to make a meta point right here, though, because you asked earlier about conviction. The other thing in tandem with, the kind of not giving a fuckness that you have to enact at a certain point when you're starting to make content or try to make any level of influence or thought leadership or whatever. The other thing you have to do is you have to pay attention to negative feedback to see if it's valid. Okay, that's number one. Pay attention to negative feedback that you get on comments or whatever. See if it's valid. See if it's see if it's just like a loser being like a bitch, or if it's just like or if it's like somebody like actually giving you good feedback that you could implement. That's number one. Number two, though, is pay attention to the people that are giving you praise, because you have to you don't want to take either heavily, but you do need to realize if you're the type of person that is constantly second guessing yourself, even though you're putting out, objectively good content and quality and things like that, you can't let yourself get in the way of you moving forward, right? So when I hear you, again, appreciate it. If I see comments of people saying that I'm doing good work, if I see other colleagues saying that I'm doing good work, if I'm getting mentioned in places, you don't take it in an egotistical, arrogant way, but you take it in a way that's reaffirming that you are you're doing the right things, or you're doing things that are pushing you towards your goal. Obviously there's other metrics, but I'm saying that if in this business of some like content and then the adjacent things, there is a level of like, we want like social proof and social affirmation from all these other people. You have to like, don't dismiss it. If other people are saying it, if even one person is saying you're doing a good job, then there's other people out there that could be potentially getting value from what you're doing. So that's where a lot of my other conviction kind of comes into play there. I feel like, because I've started to pay attention to that more, and it's helped me not feel like I'm wasting my time or whatever. And I think that's a huge thing, just mentally. You can't let yourself sabotage yourself because you don't feel like you're doing the right thing. You don't feel like you're far enough ahead. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's,
yeah, dude, a quick point on that. And I want your advice on this, because it's something I'm thinking about recently, is like when you talk about feedback, something that I am realizing, and I'm not sure if it's true or if it's just my emotions around feedback and taking shit too personally. But for example, if someone gives me a piece of feedback that like really hurts me, I think that's a signal that it's probably really true and it's something I should listen to. And if my first inclination is to just shove it down, I've been trying to listen to it more often. So for example, like my family says a lot of times to me, like you're always spending time alone. Like you're working way too much. And I get, like, obviously context of feedback is really important. And I have just always shoved that down to be like, okay, you guys, you didn't grow up being an entrepreneur. It's really hard to switch off, and just kind of dismissed it. Like I never even really considered it. But when I actually did, I was like, that like really hurts me to think about, is that I'm being a bad family member, that I am neglecting the people that are really important to me. And the reason that I shoved it off, because it was too painful to even like put my thought process through that I was actually becoming that person. Do you think it's when you feel like something that is really deep when it comes to feedback, that is a sign that you should lean into it and listen to it? Obviously take into context where it's coming from. Like obviously a comment on YouTube is different than, your parents or your wife or something like that. Not that I would know. But that's something else we talked about. But when you hear a piece of feedback, and how do you take your emotions into account with how you then act afterwards?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think if it hurts, there's okay, so if somebody says, you don't know what you're talking about. If somebody came up to you and said, buddy, you're a terrible golf instructor, you could probably be like, buddy, what are you talking about? Like I was scratched, like, you know what I mean? Like you just like, you have to take a logical approach to it. It's like, you obviously are, about the thing that they're, questioning you on. So it's like, who are you? That's kind of actually my first reaction is like, okay, again, it's processing the feedback. Like, is it legitimate or not? Or is this person lost? Really is the way that I think about it. Some people on the internet, especially like, if they're anonymous, I don't want to sound like a complete jackass here, but honestly, there's a lot of NPCs that you encounter on the internet. Okay. And I don't mean to be derogatory when I say that. It's just like, they literally do not have profile pictures. They are anonymous, and that's fine. If they're real people acting, if they're not bots, then that's great. Like, do you, I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying, like, you have to realize the reality of the situation. You are dealing with, assuming it's a human, a person that is not comfortable putting their face and their name behind the words that they are saying. So it's like, those words may be true, and you should take the words and the actual person kind of like separately. But like, even if the words are true, like, who are you even interfacing with? So it's like, you have to totally detach the feedback from the person at that point. You have to throw the anonymous NPC situation to the side, and you have to look at the feedback and be like, is this valid? Can I take my biased content creator, thought leader, whatever hat off and just be like, wow, am I actually really bad at speaking? Or am I like whatever, XYZ, whatever? And, and it really depends too, because the more confrontational or controversial stuff you're talking about, the more you're going to get that, because opinions are just going to diverge extremely quickly. But I feel like in our industry, it's like not too bad, because it's like, the worst thing you get in like WordPress land is like which page builder you use. And then it's like, okay, whatever, we're arguing about tools here. But I don't know if that really answers the question, but I would just say that is the way that I've handled it. Anytime that I've gotten like negative stuff, I'll either respond with just like, thank you, or I'll go through that process of being like, I want to get better. Like, truthfully, like, I don't care who is giving me feedback. I want to get better. And I want to keep moving towards my goal. So that's the other piece of it, is like, is this feedback, if I implemented this feedback this person is telling me, would it move me towards my goal? And if the answer is no there, then it's like, okay, well, now we just have differing sets of what you think my life should be, or what, like what our goal patterns would look like. And it's like, okay, well, now we just have a conversation where it's like, all right, we just don't have the same perspective, and it is what it is anyway. I don't know if there's a specific example like that you were kind of referencing with, stuff that you have to deal with. I mean, but just in general, well, the specific one, like you said with your family, like the loneliness thing, I would do your best to step out of that and be like, okay, nobody told me this. Let me just write this down and actually see how I feel. It sounds like you did that a little bit. And like, if you feel badly about it, then it's like, okay, well, this is just a part of my life right now that isn't where I want it to be. It's totally fine. It's extremely normal. Is there any way that I can put this kind of on a list of things that I need to work on and just try to improve it marginally every single day? And if you can, and if it is something that you need to put on that list, then put it there and just do it. And anytime somebody gives you shit about it, be like, yeah, bro, I'm working on it. There's nothing, nobody can ever say anything to you when you say, yeah, I'm working on it. Like, what are they going to say next? It's like, what are they going to say next? They're going to give you more shit about it? It's like, yeah, I'm working on it. Thank you. Appreciate that.
That's what Hormozy says, is like, every time he gets shit from a commenter or he gets a piece of feedback, he's just like, thank you. That's all he says.
Yeah.
And like, ends the conversation pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But that's a good point, man.
I don't know.
Dude, I want to thank you, because a lot of, like, you got me started on, like, I've been trying to eat like 100% whole foods now for the last couple of weeks. I've been really consistent, especially lately. Just trying to do meat, eggs, and fruit. So it's been motivating to see you talk about it and then like kind of actualize it for myself. So I'm someone that's really big on like external accountability. And like I said, sharing it always helps. So you got me started on that path, and momentum. I'm huge into momentum too. So sometimes that's all we need, is like the idea or just seeing someone else do it to get me started. And that's what has helped. And I've had like a really good couple of days. Like my mental health is better too. I had a lot of bad habits around that stuff, and it's been meat, eggs, and fruit for the past week or so. And I feel incredible, dude. Like, incredible. So
it's definitely transformative. Yeah. One quick point on that. I won't go down too long of a tangent, because you just follow me on Instagram if you want to see the whole foods every fucking day. But the one point I want to make about that, because that has been really transformative, but it goes beyond like the food thing. If I zoom out, I've tried for a really long time to do something like that. I tried carnivore for like a little bit, maybe like a year ago. When I was in high school, I went through this transformation of, I was eating chicken tenders and fries when I was a little kid. And then I went to, like grilled chicken and broccoli and rice a little bit more. And that helped a lot. But then, just past college, like, I just kind of ate whatever I want, but still would be active. The thing that like, I think when you put something like we were talking about on that list of, this needs to change, but I'm giving myself the grace to not force it to change. When you do that, what you're looking for is the catalyst for that. Okay. So it's like the catalyst for that needs to be so powerful that it actually gets you to go fucking do the thing and to stick with it. You also need like a decent system in place, and like a you gotta build up the momentum for sure. Like, with the Whole Foods thing, like you gotta do a little bit of research, know what you're doing, and then like be willing to go to the grocery store. But once you get in a groove, like that helps. But what I'm saying is to start this, I would have never started this. You know what the weird ass reason for me starting this was?
I was gonna ask, yeah.
It wasn't like 6-pack. Okay. Like I kind of always wanted to look fit, but like that never worked. Like I was never like, oh, I could have started this so many other times. Like that wasn't it. It was actually because I play ball hockey and I play golf, and my hands, bro, I have psoriasis. I've had psoriasis for a very long time. It's pretty mild. Like there's people with really bad psoriasis, but all psoriasis is it's like almost too many skin cells kind of like growing in like different places. So you get like a little scaly and stuff. Used to have it on my knees, a little bit on my elbows and stuff, but it's on my hands, and it's an autoimmune thing where like, it's one of those things, there's no cure, but honestly, like, what the fuck, bro? Like, we're putting poison on our bodies. So, like, obviously, if I was, like, a little bit better there, I guarantee you my body would react a little bit better. So, I say all this to say that right there was the only real thing that's, like, that's the reason. Finally, I'm thinking about this in the best mindset possible. I want to be healthier. Plus, I'm, like, getting a little older. I'm approaching 30 and shit. Like, I want to be healthier. I want to actually try to change things about like my gut health and about the way that I feel and all those things that you mentioned. It's not like aesthetic. Like maybe aesthetically it's for some people it works, but as an example, it's like you have to find the right catalyst to actually get you to do something before you can act on it. You can't force these things.
It's so hard to make that correlation though between what they say is the pain of change. You actually stick to something, you get your shit together when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, because that's where the friction happens. It's so hard to tie something so abstract to something that's so tangible, which is literally your next action or the food that you're about to put in your face. I mentioned the eating disorders. I've been on both sides. Like it is wild. And I've always eaten really healthy, but I have experience with like binge eating disorders and stuff like that too. And it's such the visceral pain of just feeling like shit all the time. Just, I can't, and like I just heard myself talking about it. And I don't know what it is. And now I'm bought into it. And it's so hard in the beginning, dude. Like I'm still feeling it a little bit. Like I really like rice cakes and like stuff like that. Like that, I do miss it sometimes, but then you just got to take yourself back to the place where you're like, I don't want to feel like that again. Like I want better stuff for myself. I want more for myself.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing specifically about the Whole Foods situation, but adapted to whatever goal you're trying to achieve, like in the sense, is you also have to find something that works. Like just because carnivore is like, oh, that's the one that everyone says or whatever, or that's the one that I heard so much about and I, really wanted to like work and try. Just because that's the case doesn't mean that that's actually fully realistic or fully realistic right now. The only way that I'm able to eat like this is because I love potatoes, and I told myself, okay, we're just going to eat whole foods. Like we're going to eat steak, we're going to eat chicken, we're going to eat eggs, we're going to eat avocados, and we're going to eat potatoes and whatever. Like, like I can eat, I'm not shitting you, probably 5 pounds of potatoes in a single sitting. Like
that
it's
is
obnoxious.
Not where I thought that was going to go. I was like, I gotta be honest, I really like potatoes. I'm like, what the fuck are you?
I mean, I try to keep everybody on their toes. But like that's the, but I mean, it's a specific example of that, but you have to find, again, like I said, how it's going to work for you, because not only does the catalyst have to be there, you also have to find a way to achieve the goal in a way that you're not going to give up. You're not going to, it's sustainable.
Yeah.
So again, food is a really good example because everybody has, especially in America, strangest relationships with food. Our food is fucking mostly poison. And then also like you need it. It's not even something like you could cut out like other things. You need it. So you need to develop a strategy that, and I'm not a health and fitness influencer, although I play one on Instagram stories. Like, you need it. So it's like, just a really weird phenomenon. And there's so many different ways to do it. And so I don't know if I'm telling you anything you don't know, but that's it.
Do you view yourself as a disciplined person?
It's a good question. Honestly, the thing you said about the reality lags behind the identity, I feel like the reality is yes, and the identity is like years behind, because I think it's starting to catch up now. But like, dude, this is the other thing. Okay. I talked about the conviction thing. I talked about, like we were talking about how you have to get praise. Like if you get praise, you have to like take it to heart to a degree and be like, people care. You know what I mean? Like that's the reaction you have to have. The other thing you have to do is you have to write down your fucking wins, or the things that you do that you know are objectively good or objectively align with what you want to do.
Yeah.
Bro, like I talk about this sometimes, but I haven't had a fucking sip of alcohol in my life. Like that is fucking rare. I've never smoked anything. I've never taken any drugs. Like I'm not flexing when I say that anymore. Well, I mean, it's kind of a flex, but I'm not doing it in a way where it's like I'm better than somebody. I'm just doing it in a way that's like, that is kind of borderline crazy. I feel like in many aspects. So when you ask me like, do I have discipline? It's like, it's definitely present, but it's not like a blanket thing. It's not like I could just turn on discipline for any singular thing in my life at any given time. That's I feel like a lot of discipline conversations really get fucked up when you hear so many like, again, influencer type people like talk about discipline, right? It's like, are you disciplined in every single aspect of your life, bro? Because I'm shocked if that's the case. Like, God bless you if you are, because I'm disciplined in some things. Like I've been disciplined enough to do these videos every day for 100 days. I've been disciplined to throw a couple more things on my task list each day that I'm doing, every single day that I've been, neglecting on or whatever. Like the creatine, started doing that now, but am I disciplined to ask somebody for money every day, like via sales call? No, not yet. Like we haven't gotten there yet. If everyone is able to just do that, or if these guys are just able to just turn on discipline at the drop of a hat, good for them. But I don't think that's realistic, because you have to, again, find the catalyst, find the momentum, find the right system that works in place for you to do those things. And then what happens if you just don't do something? Like you like, oh, well, you don't, you don't XYZ every single day. Does that mean you're not disciplined because you don't do it at all? It's kind of a silly thing. But long-winded way to say that I feel like there is a lot of discipline built into my life in certain cases, but not for everything that I feel like I want to be at yet. But let me ask you a question, because what do you think you are? Do you think you are?
Everyone is disciplined towards where their values are. So I'm a big believer that your calendar, and this is the pot calling the kettle black, as Chris says, which is just fucking hilarious to me. I don't know what that means. But basically, it's just how social awareness is like this diabolical thing. If I am spending my time on something, it's important to me and I'm disciplined towards it. If I'm not, or I'm not dedicating like specific intention towards doing it, I'm not disciplined towards it. And it's so hard for me personally, just a bit of a self-admittance, is that it's really hard for me personally to not be the best at something. And those things I try and like shove down a lot, and I don't love talking about. And the things that we also share, so the things that I talk about, I realize that I do tie a lot of my self-worth, and thus I will be more disciplined to them. I think it's like this feedback cycle for me, where I think it's true for a lot of people as well. When we get positive affirmation for something, we then invest more time into making it happen, because the signal, it's humans recognize signals of progress, of success, that we're doing the right thing. We're all sort of blind as we're navigating this thing, right? So any positive feedback or any sign that we're on the right track, we just grab onto it and we think, okay, I'm shoving all the poker chips in on this one thing. And that's where I think, for me at least, discipline has come from, is I've gotten to a point where I have minimal amounts of success, some type of traction, and then that's where discipline becomes easy. I grew up with this. This is something my dad instilled in me, that Milligans are hard workers. Like this, like crest on it, you could stamp that on like a cow brand and put it on my ass. Like that's something that Milligans would do. He grew up saying those exact words. Like, so whatever it is that I like dive into, I tend to take it a little bit extreme, and that's not a good thing at all because it can be the total wrong thing. It's not a good thing to stay up all night on something that's stupid just because you want to be you want at the end of something. I get a lot of out of feeling like I have nothing left, right? Obviously that comes into play with like the exercise addiction, the you know, the overwork, things like that. It's not a badge of honor to have done the wrong thing for an exorbitant amount of time. To have done the wrong thing, it's just a sign that you don't have the instincts or the taste, and you're letting this objective thing take over, this identity that you built for yourself take over when it's not the most important thing. There are certain things that I'm very disciplined towards objectively, and there's some things that I am very undisciplined towards. When it comes to investing in something I'm really conscious about trying to get better at is investing in like my close relationships. I am undisciplined in putting in the objective actions that lead to me having a very close relationship with my family, my aunts, uncles, cousins, people that I haven't gotten I think this is true of a lot of founders, and I'm seeing it as I talk to more people in business and get consulting, is that when you start a business and you do networking, you get on a lot more calls, you have a wider network of more shallow relationships. And that a lot of times comes at the expense of your deep inner circle. It's really hard to keep both of those balanced. It has been for me at least. I've neglected a lot of my really close relationships from people growing up. I know you always grow apart from your friends in high school, but one of my roommates for the last year was one of my closest friends in high school. He bought a property and I was his first tenant. I lived out of his apartment. I talked to him a handful of times while I lived there, and I was abundantly focused on just working on the business because I thought that was the hard working thing to do. And at the end of life, you're going to look back and you're going to realize that, okay, who's actually here? It's going to be your wife. It's going to be that inner circle. And I've had a very close example of that manifested personally in my own life with my grandfather and stuff like that. So it's a good reminder to, have the mindset that you are disciplined, but you got to make sure you're applying it to the right things, man. Because a lot of people spend their whole lives applying it to the wrong thing. And I've seen it now.
Yeah, man, you're wise beyond your years. You're gonna be totally fine. The thread that I tie onto that is, as I approach again 30 here, have a wife, starting family, like in the coming years and stuff, like I'm thinking like, how do I come down here to the office every single day and I think, okay, there's a lot of stuff that I have to do. There's things on my to-do list, work that I got to get completed. There's money that needs to be made and everything. But if you're not, it's just like at a certain point you feel, I feel like I'm to myself, I'm like, I know a lot of shit. I know a lot of people. I'm super confident in what I do and like the trajectory that I'm on. But sometimes you do need just a little bit of patience. Like for sure, you can always ask again, do more sales calls, do whatever. But like you do have to like realize that at a certain point, like you're saying, have patience in those types of things, and don't, if you can avoid it, don't ruin those relationships that you have that are outside of the entrepreneurial circle, because you're so focused on getting to those entrepreneurial goals like extremely as quickly as possible. Because again, I can't like work so hard that my wife divorces me, like, because then now I have to go back. This is a really fucking weird thing, but I'm going to say it here because I feel like it relates. I love my wife, and I'm so glad that we are married now. But if I look back at the whole tenure of our relationship, right, like 9 years ago, like one of the coolest things, this is just a perk, okay, this is not the main thing, but a perk of being together with somebody since I was like 20 was like, this is amazing. I'm so fortunate that I found somebody that I feel like I can spend the rest of my life with. And this piece of my life is like, it's like this is going to sound fucked up, okay? But like, this is like a portion of my life is taken care of, so to speak now. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I have, I mean, well, it's just, I'm not trying to equate my wife to like a checkbox on a fucking list, but I mean, like,
that's exactly how I think about it. It's like I have this whole area of like life, and this part of it is like a glaring checkbox that doesn't. Okay, the analogy may sound objectifying, but I know what you mean. Like it's you have to have like all these foundations covered to some extent, and you have it set. Like, it's not a point of anxiety to say, holy shit, look at the clock until I get to 30. I don't have a close, relationship with, a partner. So I totally know what you mean.
Well, I mean, yes, but like, you got to think of it like holistically though. It's like, there's pillars of life. I had a piece of content about this a while back. It's like, relationships, spirituality, wealth, health, and like something else or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, there's like 5 or whatever pillars. And it's like those, like, how do you rank yourself on all of those right now? And life is just, this is the part where like, I hate consuming content, honestly, at this point, in a lot of ways, because I get exhausted. I've consumed so much that all of the content is so siloed that it's like, there are so many aspects to my life that I want to work on, and I'm watching a video about some sort of random fucking small development thing on a website. You know what I mean? Like, if I need to do it, then I'll watch it and I'll do it. But I'm just saying, like, when you really back out of it, it's like, why is this that important? Because there's so many pieces of life that I need to focus on. And it's like, is this the one that is, the most important for me to focus on right now? Or, how do you prioritize these things while still keeping a level of patience where it's like, you can't force it. You know what I mean? Like, the relationship one is a great one. There's people that have been, they're single until they're like 45, and then they meet the love of their life and they're married in like 2 months or something like that. It's just like, it's not even, and there's also a level of like, oh, if you're anxious about anything, I'm having the same conversation with you. I'm giving that as an example, but it's like the same thing with money. It's like, the more you worry about money, and I need to keep telling myself this every day, the more you worry about money, the less likelihood that you're going to have to like take advantage of opportunities that are actually good wealth building things. Like, I'm starting to get out of it now. I'm posting more. I'm being able to like break out of that analysis paralysis situation. Instead of thinking like, oh, what is going to make me the most money? Just like do the things that are like making any money, or doing the things that are, garnishing more influence or whatever. And you just have to focus on those things. It's really, really counterintuitive because we don't want to do that, I feel like, as humans. But it's like, whatever is giving you signs that the opportunity is in that realm, rather than like the absolute solution is in that realm. It's like, okay, somebody's single. How do you get a person? Oh, you go to Tinder, you go to Hinge, you go to whatever. It's like, maybe, but it's like,
Whoa.
what are those things?
Those off fast. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, they're big ones, dude. So it's like, you go to Tinder, you go to Hinge, you go to whatever. Like how do you, like, is that, what's the efficacy of those things? Are people like getting, but versus making connections with people in your industry, or making connections with people in your town, just like, whatever situation, and not doing it to find a wife, but like doing it to find connections. And then there's going to be people of, the same sex, opposite sex, whatever, way anybody, goes there. And then that, I just feel like it's a little, if you step back and you make these decisions on these pillar type activities a little more organically, rather than trying to force them, I think it leads to a better outcome.
Yeah, I have the perfect podcast to send you after we get off, and it's literally just like at the intersection of what you just said, and that I can't stop thinking about it either. So I don't know if you ever heard of Jordan Harbinger, but he has this philosophy around the similarities between sales and like dating and relationships. And it's all about just making friends. Like, that's his philosophy around it. And he gives so many good examples about how to, like, just the right way to think about it. It's really changed my mindset around like relationships, occupying the right mind space in people. Also, this like with or without you energy is so hard to manufacture without it being real, right? And it's so effective when it comes to both, right? You're so much more, you're going to make so much more money if you don't need it. You're going to have so much more relationship capital if you don't put the pressure on yourself to feel like you need it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That is really hard to manufacture, and people can tell when it's fake. So I want you to listen to that podcast because I listened to it twice, and I don't want to let that go, so I'm going to make the note of it right here.
All right. So if you have a couple more minutes, I do want to ask this question because this is super relevant to, I feel like one of the things that I'm navigating currently in my neck of the space. And I think you're going to have a really interesting insight because we did tee this up on our first conversation that we didn't record. So you and we didn't talk heavily about MMG, but I do want you to give like kind of a little bit more of the background there. But like I do want to ask you a very specific question. So you've been working on this, you've been scaling it, it's been going great. You're using your like website design, development, stuff like that. You're not in WordPress primarily, is that correct? I mean, like maybe occasionally, but that's not the bread and butter.
No.
Got it. So here's the thing. All right. If WordPress people are still watching this, they're gonna get pissed off. But WordPress is old. Like it's mature. It's an old situation. There's a lot of older folks in WordPress because they've been around it for very long. It's not really sexy necessarily. Trying to work on it. As you dubbed me, I'm the young guy in WordPress, or one of the young guys in WordPress. So that's kind of interesting. Hadn't thought about that branding opportunity till now, but I'll have to consider it. But your perspective, I think, is extremely valuable in the web design space. So I'm going to pose this question to you, and I need you to really rack your brain and help me with this. In the WordPress space, there's not very many young people, like I said. But in the web design space, I feel like that's totally different. So what is like in the sphere that you're in, with all the people that you're like kind of talking to, and the I don't want to say like groups necessarily, maybe there's not groups, but like in everything that you're dealing with in the web design stuff that is not WordPress, what does that look like? Is it exciting? Is there a lot of youthful energy? Please paint that picture for me.
Yeah. Can I frame it? I love this question. And can I frame it with a little bit of context as well to kind of help?
Absolutely.
So I started as a designer. So I kind of came in with this preconceived. I first heard you, and I mentioned this over a year ago on Josh Hall's podcast, Web Design Business Podcast. He has a circle community. He lives 30 minutes from me in Columbus, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the genesis as to how I started. Okay, I am web designer. I was a graphic designer. That's what I did in the Oiler 10. That's what I did in my first agency job after I graduated. That was me. Andy is a designer. And then I was in this web design community because I was friends with Josh. And I was like, okay, I want to start building websites for clients. It's a much higher value for a business objectively rather than logos, which I saw ahead of the curve of that. And just kind of realized, okay, this is not where the puck is headed, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I don't know code. I don't have a background in development. I need to learn how to design. I was a baller in Figma. That's what I did in my job. I was a baller in Illustrator, baller in Photoshop. When it came to developing a website, Webflow was one of the first movers and giving designers the hands-on visual capabilities of a real website platform. There was others like Showit, Squarespace were code-free development platforms, but they did not have a canvas interface to where, from a design standpoint, you could really control how the website looks responsively, and also just from best practices, from user behavior. It didn't give you the control that you wanted. Webflow was really the first that led me to do that. And it also was really lucky that I got into that to build my own first personal website, started doing it for clients. And that's how I learned web dev. It also does a really good job of teaching you like the box model, the basics of CSS, HTML, because it's an integrated platform. It has the CSS controls on the right, the HTML on the left. And it was a really good first building platform. That's how I built my first 10 to 15. We built over 30, upwards of 30 websites now. A lot of my time, and keep in mind, that's the context. Was going into this without any development knowledge and building my company. So we're a Webflow first company. I have so many global sections, templates. Do you think WordPress lets you have, like, Chris calls it his block library? It's ugly, but they let you have the same. That was really brash, but it's true. It's the same concept. You can really easily recycle your past designs, global sections, templates, stuff like that. It's not like WordPress where you have a theme and you can't do jack shit outside of it. If it's built on a theme, you have to go into the PHP and do everything differently. So that was my constraints from the beginning. It's like, I want to design a website that really looks good for my clients, because design speaks. I know. Can
I stop you real quick? Can I stop you real quick? Because you're going to piss a lot of people off, but it's really, really good. This is really important. When you say that you have to have a theme and you have to go into PHP and all that, when are we talking? We're talking 2 years ago?
Yes.
Okay.
About 2 years ago. February of 23.
Okay, so I want you to get back to the story, but I will say that this is extremely good feedback that I need to share with other people, because there's probably a lot of people like you that literally don't understand the power of WordPress, not because you can't understand it. It's because you don't have the experience, or you weren't like marketed about the experience, so to speak. Because WordPress is kind of like this black box where, like, once you get into it, you get exposed to it, you understand how unbelievably powerful the ecosystem is, because there's so much shit. It's not just WordPress. It's like there's so much shit built on top of it and around it that you could do literally whatever you want. That's why people get into WordPress and they stay in WordPress, because, like, there's nowhere better necessarily to go. There's problems, but there's nowhere better. But your story that you're describing here is extremely interesting, and I'm going to post this in a clip now. I have to, because there's so much more to it that maybe you've discovered, or maybe you haven't, or whatever. But the point is, like, even I want you to finish, but, like, even what you're describing is not unique. Like, there's definitely a lot of people that don't understand what you can do. So it's like more of an awareness issue of that WordPress, again, it's buzzword really, because it's a whole ecosystem and there's so much pieces to it. But, like, that's the real problem. It sounds like your part of your reasoning was because you thought you had to get into PHP to do stuff. Is that accurate?
That's why I love that you just said that. That's why I was so diligent on, like, framing this with context. People who are way better, this is a tried and true philosophy. This is why the best web dev agencies in the world, they build on WordPress, because it gives them the flexibility, because they know what they're doing. I didn't know what I was doing, and this, like, shortcut of knowing design and having a visual first interface, I saw the candy that was there, and I'm like, I want to build that. And I got really good at it. And that's what I doubled down and built the value of the company off of, is visual first, high performer websites. Customization is always limited when you go that route. You start to lose the forest for the trees, and what you sacrifice. And, like, I can build a website so fast, and it looks really good. Like, obviously there's templates and stuff like that, but the development control that you have with a WordPress is not lost on me. And I know the open source nature of it. I'm working from the constraint, and I'm, like, putting my hands down and saying, like, there's people that the reason that I got down this path is because there's people that are way better at it than me, and I started with that constraint in the beginning. So that's why I wanted to frame it with context. But part of being an entrepreneur is doubling down on your strengths and following your clients to where the puck lies. A lot of the marketing, like 5 to 10 page marketing sites I was doing in the beginning, a lot of the landing pages especially I was doing, they don't give a shit where it's built. Clients don't care. They just want the result, and they know what they see, and that's good design. So I took that reinforcing feedback and said, okay, I need to appeal to what the clients want. But they also do too. They like ROI. They like knowing exactly what's going on. They like the form submissions. They like knowing the data. I know how to use Google Analytics. I know how to track data, do all that stuff too. So there's that part that's important as well. But they know what they see, and that's was my constraints going in from the beginning. So sort of branching off on what I started is now I'm really bullish on a combination of Webflow and Framer. Webflow is really trying to go like mass market. So they're targeting enterprise marketing companies, and they're making it much more accessible to have agencies that are WordPress specific agencies. Every brand, every business is trying to go to the certification route with, because it makes them more money, to be honest with you. And certification businesses are great for companies because basically you pay them to get Webflow certified, and it's like a badge of honor when really it's like, who's making all the money here? You're just paying them more money. But they do lock down the code. It's not open source, but just they got a really good foothold in the market with, okay, you can build a website without code, which was a big value of WordPress, but it was just so much easier in the beginning. And that's what got such a loyal cult following. Like you didn't have to do, it's like this whole ecosystem, I would say, past, the couple years ago when I started, all the content I consume now is, WordPress or Webflow Framer, and I can build websites really fast and it's fun. That's the big part of it too, is that it's fun. You enjoy, what I enjoyed about graphic design, what I enjoyed about Figma is now realized in Framer and to an extent Webflow. But like I said, a lot of the roots were set up there. That's where a lot of our clients' sites are currently. And Webflow also has a lot more capabilities in terms of marketing performance, more customization options, more plugins. You can use custom code on it, but you can't, and you can export and host the code on a Netlify, so you can't control it there. But yeah, that's just how I got into it. I think that context is really important, and that's what a lot of people lose when you don't have that and you get into a builder debate or a page builder or a plugin debate. Is like, okay, where did you start from? What are the actual needs of what you were trying to accomplish at the time? And then you can really make an accurate assumption as to like, okay, maybe you didn't get the best feedback or you dove into it with the wrong intentions and that led you to where you were. Everybody in that web design community, Web Designer Pro, 99% of them were WordPress folks. And I was by far the youngest one in there, dude. I was the only one in their 20s. And that's where I started to see, I was like, a lot of these people that are in here, I didn't want to be like, so I was like, it motivated me to get better at making money. It motivated me to sell more. I'm really good at relationship building. I don't really view it as sales, but I'm really good at, especially in a traditionally long sales cycle where it's high ticket, you have to really invest in relationships. And I made a lot of them through that community. That's why I'm grateful. But a lot of them I just didn't want to be like, and that's what led me to another sort of gas on the fire to exploring alternative methods outside of just WordPress in and of itself, because I don't want to be locked into A, the learning curve, and B, what I had associated with some undesirable traits.
Yeah, I mean, a lot there. Well, to kind of spin back though, is like the question about, a lot of them are older, obviously, in that, like you said, in that group, but like in the other circles, like outside of the WordPress stuff, like do you hang out in any spheres that are non-WordPress, and what's the vibe like there from a youthfulness perspective?
Yeah, a lot of the channels I follow are younger people also. And I would say I am a bit of a black sheep in those circles because I have more of a business entrepreneur mindset to what I do rather than just the creative side. I think a lot of people that get into these tools, not that I'm like enlightened or anything like that. A lot of people that are getting into this Framer especially, so they're trying to use a lot of AI features to really doubly shortcut that lack of knowledge of what the hell they're doing to begin with. So for example, Framer and Webflow to an extent have tried to implement more and more AI features to make it easier and easier to where they see the candy of a really good website. And WordPress people know this too, is you get into a website, it's beautiful, interactive. You can go into Lovable or Bolt or V0 and make something that looks great, right? But if you don't know how it works, you don't know responsive design, you don't know just marketing foundations in terms of copy, messaging, you don't know where it fits into the business. That's what a lot of these people miss. So in these communities, there's a lot of them. I interviewed a guy named Lucas Marjorie about a month ago for the podcast. I haven't released the episode yet, but he is a community manager for this tool called Magic Path. And it's basically like an AI version of Figma. And the value prop there is that you can design in Figma and then use a prompt interface to create interactive websites. And it's pretty exciting results, but they're going very much young demographic. They're on YouTube and they funnel towards just like there's a lot of YouTube content. That's where a lot of younger people are living. A lot of older people are on YouTube too, but a lot of where the puck is headed in terms of people that are getting into it for the first time, they have this mindset that they don't need to know development, they don't need to know code because of AI, so they flock to the easiest version of what will get something live to them, which is lovable Bolt V0 Framer, which you can use to stand up, and you can sort of patch together tools. I would say the mindset of like younger communities that are like this, not that I'm in any of them, because like I said, I'm kind of a black sheep because I spend time talking to older people, which I think is generally just a better trait, and I can kind of see that in myself, even with like the WordPress community. Whereas that they don't have a lot of business sense. They view it as a creative outlet, and they don't tie it back to how what they do adds value to the business. And a lot of people that get started in it, I don't think stay in it very long.
That is an interesting insight there. So there's older people that are making money, but they're using WordPress, and maybe they're behind slightly on certain things. But you can do a lot in WordPress, but like, from the WordPress side, right? It's like we're constantly asking the question, how can we get younger people into WordPress as one example? Why aren't there more younger people? Is WordPress, dramatic? Is it like dying because not a lot of people are coming into it, so to speak? But then you're also saying that a lot of the young people are using the other platforms as creative outlets, and they're not necessarily, I don't want to say they're not making a lot of money from it, but they're not using it in like a business pragmatic sense entirely. It's more of I come from a design background. These tools really make it easy for me to do that. They also market it as such. So then that's where I'm naturally inclined to go and try and use.
Yes. And one caveat I'll add to that. A lot of they can make really good stuff. They just don't make the application towards like ROI or actual business value. Like for example, one of my friends I've interviewed has this app where it's like it's like a dog, it's like a dog walking app. And it's like, okay, you can develop something that'll work, right? But unless it's very specifically applied to a very niche business, like your own, for example, that's why I think the value in it lies towards making something, a software, a tool, a site, a landing page, that's just something that you use internally, not that you give to a business or that you do as a service. Because like I was seeing this app and it's like, okay, this is really cool. It's interactive. It works. There's no way that you can take that to market and make money, if that makes sense. You have to have you have to know what's working under the hood in order to really be able to sell it to a business owner, to be able to sell it to a founder, and actually portray that value outside of yourself. Once you move outside of that circle of I'm just using this as a creative outlet, something that I can use for myself, the fastest way to tell if something actually has value, if people actually take out their wallets. And for me, that's been design, and it's been like hyper application towards the business, and people see what they like. I think a lot of people don't have that social awareness to be able to recognize that, and they're just playing around inside of a canvas interface.
Yeah. It's a very good point too. Yeah, it's at the end of the day, if you're going to spend a lot of time on that sort of stuff, it does have to make money. I mean, it's okay to play around and get better at certain tools. Not every single thing has to make money, I don't think. But yeah, I mean, if you're trying to build a business around it, or that's your freelance job that you're trying to build up, yeah, at some point, yeah, you can't just make random apps. I think you need to have that pragmatic application piece that you're talking about there.
Let me ask you, I know we're going really long. This is a Rogan episode, but
all good.
Have you ever tried your saying your words back to you? You said you're a shit designer, so I don't think Framer would be the platform for you. But have you ever tried how easy it is? Have you used Figma before?
Have I actually physically used it? There's the series that I have going on the channel right now, Christian Taylor, we're rebuilding his website. I did play around in his, like the Figma that we were messing around with there. And then I watched Nick Arce do some stuff in there. But I don't know if I've ever actually designed anything like heavily in there. Are you saying it's easy to use?
Yes.
Well, I mean, you're a professional.
You don't have to know code at all.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's Figma, and then I know there's Figma sites now, but if you say Figma sites on this podcast and WordPress people watch you, they might find you, and bad things might happen because
I'm already like the back half. I'm like afraid to say my name a little bit. That's why I like set the context. I was like, this is like the reality of like how I got into this. So have like mercy on me. But yeah, that's what I swear to you, like if you didn't know a lick of code and you were presented, and you have to say, okay, I need to build a website for a client, and you're presented Framer and you're presented WordPress, what are you going to do? You know, especially having a design background, like a lot of people do now, like Canva makes anyone a designer, so they think. So it's like the same interface. It's the same template, or it's the same canvas interface, you know, and once you apply that to responsive design, Framer and Webflow are just like, so.
Well, yes. I do have I want to make one point, but I want to ask you a very pointed question first. Have you ever heard of Elementor?
Yes. Elementor is not the same. Elementor is shit. This is what I'm saying.
Oh,
this
Jesus
is how much better
Christ.
It is.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, I didn't know.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No.
We need a meme in there.
No, cut that out.
I mean,
cut that out.
that's.
I know.
But
no.
Explain though. Explain your experience or your reasoning though. Like I'm a big proponent of like, if that is your opinion right now, you need to be staunch in your opinion right now. But I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying like I hold opinions like that, but it's like my mind is open. Like I could be changed.
My mind is too. I know you've interviewed the guy who's son of a bitch. I can't remember his name. The guy that always wears the hat has a Kevin Geary.
Yeah.
The tool he's building, I've heard, is very good. I have not tried it because Etch. Yes, I have not tried it because I'm not in WordPress. Like I said, you're the where you get started in is so important, and I think that's the genesis of where all this happens. Yeah. So, like, I just haven't. There's so much. I'm acknowledging that there's so much that I don't know, and my opinions are rooted in how I started, and I'm not like. Yeah. I'm firm in my opinions because they are my actual experience. Because I have used Elementor. Okay.
Well, no, yeah. So my thought though is like, did you like? Again, I'm not trying to defend Elementor. I'm trying to like just kind of like prove like again like a meta point is like, when did you use Elementor?
It's a long time ago.
Okay.
It's a year
so
and a
like,
half.
Okay. So like, if you used Elementor, well, I mean, I don't know the specifics, but maybe again, like not every tool is for everyone. I'm not even trying to praise Elementor. I started on Elementor, but like I don't still build on Elementor. It's just like Elementor is like the WordPress equivalent of that in a sense of these other builders because they have millions of users, and they were one of the first ones that pioneered that canvas style within WordPress. So they've gotten so much from that. But that is what it is. Here's the main point and probably the final point that I want to make here, because I think this is really important, and people are going to get mad at me for saying this to some degree, but if they're honest with themselves, then
not as bad as they are at me.
It's all right. You're young. It's fine. Here's the thing. Okay. there are some people would listen to what you're saying and be like, bro, like you have to get off of Framer and Webflow or whatever. You got to get into WordPress. You got to do all this shit. The reality of the situation is that could be the case. Like that could be like, okay, maybe your life and your business is better if you move to WordPress and you do a bunch of stuff, and like maybe like in like the largest scale possible. Yes, that's true. However, the reality of the situation is like there are people making money obviously on all of these different platforms where they would not exist. So like if you are making money, which I know you are because I watched your most recent monthly recap that you do. Like if you're making money with Webflow and Framer or whatever, then don't just fucking make a 90-degree turn and like go over to WordPress land. Like that doesn't make any business sense. You could say maybe long-term 2-year, 3-year, 5-year goal, like we want to move our operations over there and we could start doing some, but it doesn't make any sense to just throw away. Like if you have a lever that you can keep pulling that's making some money, don't just fucking destroy that and try to build a whole new system like overnight, because people will tell you to do that. They'll be like, you are the worst person ever for not using WordPress. You're so dumb, bro. And it's even worse inside WordPress because they'll tell you to like switch from one page builder to another. And it's like, bro, like you are so technician minded that it hurts me. Like you can't just make that switch just based on opinions of people. If you're making money from page builder XYZ, don't just flip to ABC just on a whim. Like again, make a plan or like maybe some sort of transitionary period. Don't just like uproot your entire business if you're making money. So that's a really important point that I don't think a lot of people give enough context to when they have these conversations.
And I think the 100% bottom line, agree. And the last thing I'll say, all this stuff we're talking about, clients don't care. Clients don't care. A lot of times they don't care because depending on who you're working with, obviously, they want the outcome. And whether it's WordPress, whether it's Webflow or Framer, your job is to get them the outcome that they want. And that's either a better design, it can be more leads for their business. And I think the amount of money that you make is your ability to identify need and fulfill it. And whatever the tool it is that you can use to do that, that's what you should double down on. So
largely agree. We'll save it for the next one where we talk more about like, there's other clients that might want more. They might want to be able to go in and change things, and like maybe the platforms do have that, but like there's you could talk for days and days on like the differences. They also do want.
I have an answer to that too. Yeah,
let's hear it.
No. This is what I'm saying. We have to tee it up for another one because this is actually really exciting to me.
Andy, appreciate you, brother. This has been a hell of a conversation. We covered a lot of shit here. I'm definitely going to have you back on. Let the people know where they can find you, learn more about you, and everything you got going on.
Yeah, if you guys want to hear part 2 of this conversation, you can head over to my podcast where Mark will be a guest coming up soon. My podcast is called Marketing by Design. You can find my website at mmgdesign.net. And catch me over on Instagram. LinkedIn. LinkedIn, that's where I spend the majority of my time. I am not on Instagram. As we have, unless you want to see golf and fitness content, which that will be there. So, LinkedIn, head there.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, I'll put all the links in the description. Appreciate you guys watching. Andy, thank you so much, brother, for chatting with me. And we'll chat again soon.
Yep, you're the man. I appreciate you.